All right, here's our video today. Sunlight versus coffee. Caffeine, really. That's what we're really talking about. And in a way, we can say that this video could be subjective because who doesn't want a nice cup of Morning Joe, which I'm having right now? A little Joe with those cups and using a French press. No product placement, though. Do recommend those cups, though. Gives out the flavor a little more. But so who doesn't want the Morning Joe or the Afternoon Joe or the Evening Joe? But our bodies, though, they want something different. They want sunlight. So inside of us, we have this biological rhythm. We have this circadian rhythm. So let me write that down. Circadian rhythm. All right, put it over here. And it comes from the Latin circa, which means around. They use that when they're doing dating methods like BC or BCE. So we have this circadian rhythm inside of us. It's like a clock. It's like a master clock. Master clock. We can use the sun as the clock, right? There's our clock. Or we can say it is also called the sleep-wake cycle. The sleep-wake cycle. 24-hour clock hardwired inside of us. It's also called the endogenous clock. So endo means within. Oh, a little mistake over there. The endogenous clock. Within. Endogenous. And it's found in our hypothalamus. So let's get a picture of that. So again, this is our circadian rhythm. It is our sleep-wake cycle. It's within us, the master clock in the hypothalamus. Let's get another sip of coffee before we go to the hypothalamus. And by the way, the hypothalamus, for this video, it regulates hormones, especially our body temperature and the sleep-wake cycle and our appetite. Right? Get the pen back. So there it is. There's that little part of us right there that regulates our appetite and our sleep cycle, body temperature. And within that hypothalamus, I'll write down this other thing called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Suprachiasmatic nucleus. Sounds fancy, right? So we'll write it down. The supra, not super, but supra. And here is the chiasmatic nucleus. So there's a word you can tell people while you're having coffee. And this is basically the place where it all takes place, where the circadian rhythm takes place. So basically, this rhythm, it tells us when to feel sleepy, when to feel awake. That's basically what happens. So when sunlight hits our eyes, let's look at that. There's the sunlight, right? And especially the blue wavelength of sun. Because remember, the light is part of the electromagnetic spectrum. And in the visible light, we have red being the longest, violet being the shortest. But of course, we have blue cones in our eyes, and we prefer blue over violet. But the blue light, when that enters our eyes, the SCN, right? The suprachiasmatic nucleus that we said before, we just called the SCN. Get our pen going here. The SCN. When the light gets in, when we detect that, there's special receptors in their cells, they'll detect this sunlight. It hits our eyes, and the signal will go to the SCN, and the SCN tells us, hey, wake up, start your day, get going. And conversely, though, when it gets dark, the SCN will tell us, go to bed. There's also a special hormone that will be triggered from the SCN. It's cortisol. And it makes us feel alert. So one thing that caffeine does, that I'm drinking right now, caffeine will block adenosine. And you probably are familiar with that adenosine. Because if you add phosphate, if you add 3 phosphate molecules to adenosine, you get adenosine triphosphate, which is ATP, which is the energy we need to survive. But adenosine, if we can block adenosine, which caffeine does, then you'll block its ability to promote sleep. So it's because adenosine promotes sleep. Adenosine promotes sleep. And caffeine will block that. But sunlight does it also with cortisol. And sunlight does it more effectively. Just caffeine tastes better. Well, I should say coffee tastes better. And throughout the day, adenosine will go up slowly during the day. And so, we could hit a dip somewhere in the afternoon where we get tired. And of course, we reach for more coffee. Or we can get that bright sunlight. So imagine if you're having coffee in the morning with that bright sunlight, or coffee in the afternoon with that bright sunlight. You get a double dose of alertness. Take another sip of coffee. So as far as sunlight versus coffee, the body prefers sunlight. It's more effective of keeping us awake, but it just doesn't taste as good as coffee.